Welcome everyone. In this walkthrough we'll look at balancing chemical equations. This is an essential skill for every chemistry student. There are two equations to balance in this question and they should take you less than 3 minutes. Most students who sat this paper really struggled with one of the equations and wasted a lot of time. Black text for the question, red text for additional info, blue text is the answer. Pause the video at any time to attempt the question yourself. Let's get started. Here's the question. Copper can be produced from rock that contains CuFeS2. Balance the equations for the two stages in this process. The first equation is very difficult to balance. I would not normally advise this, but don't spend too long on a 1-mark question like this if you are not making progress. Move on and spend time on the questions that you can do. When you first start to balance chemical equations, you might begin by adding up every atom on the left and every atom on the right. You will then make changes and keep doing this until there are the same number of atoms on both sides of the equation. This can be time consuming but will work in most circumstances. With an equation like this, you could end up going round in circles. The next stage in your development might be to balance for groups of atoms. Think about acid reactions. The sulfuric acid on the left has to balance with the sulfate ions on the right. Next, if you spot that a reaction is a redox, you might be able to balance for electron transfer. The total number of electrons lost by one species must be equal to the electrons gained by another. This is a redox reaction, but it is hard to spot what is oxidized and what is reduced. There is probably an easier way to balance this for 1 mark. Look for compounds on the left and right which are unique to a type of atom. CuFeS2, silicon dioxide SiO2 and FeSiO3 must be present in a 1:1:1 ratio. Copper sulfide Cu2S and copper oxide Cu2O are similar in that the oxidation state of copper is +1 in both. Sulfur and oxygen are both in group 6. When copper is reduced, it will probably make copper sulfide and copper oxide in a 1:1 ratio. If we assume that 1 mole of copper sulfide and 1 mole of copper oxide are produced, balance the reactants for copper. Next, balance the products for iron. Now, balance for silicon. Balance for sulfur. And finally, balance for oxygen. The correct balancing numbers are given there in blue. That's one of the trickiest balancing equations questions I've ever seen. A lot of work to be completed there for 1 mark. If anyone spotted an easier way to balance this, I'd be really interested to hear about your method, so please post in the comments. Here's the second equation. This one is much easier to balance. The sulfur only appears in one place on the left and the right. The oxygen also only appears in one place on the left and on the right. The equation is already balanced for sulfur, so next we balance for oxygen. And now balance for copper. The correct balancing numbers are given there in blue, and I think you'll agree that that one was much more straightforward to balance. Well, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. Post in the comments if you've got any questions or suggestions. Take care.